I'll throw a name out. You tell me your initial thoughts on each particular player, his role, his opportunity this year, and we'll bounce around. On the offensive side, Tennessee has to replace Dylan Sampson.
Yep.
He was the Offensive Player of the Year. He had a record-breaking season, broke a number of records last season with the University of Tennessee. Those are big shoes to fill. They will not be filled by just one player, but in this segment, Peyton Lewis, a second-year guy who played last year as the season went along as a true freshman, will have a bigger opportunity in year two. Thoughts on Peyton Lewis for Tennessee this season?
If you're Deshaun Bishop, you might feel like it's a little unfair, and it is, honestly. Didn't want to co-bracket, but you really could here because Deshaun Bishop is going to be very much in this rotation. He may start. There'll be games where he's better. You look at Peyton Lewis, he's been healthier. He's been more durable, which is why I put him on the list and mention him rather than Deshaun Bishop. And that's not anything that Deshaun Bishop can control. Sometimes you can't control, getting hurt. Sometimes you can. But in this case, this is out of his hands. But the running back position is wide open for someone to take over and not necessarily do what Dylan Sampson did because in some ways it was too much. But it was a historic season for him, a record-breaking season for him that ended up being a SEC Player of the Year type of performance. But the weight has been dropped for Peyton Lewis. Man, he's more lean, he's quicker, he is faster, and I look for him to take that next jump to finish off runs. It's one thing to run through a wide open hole, but finishing runs, falling forward, making guys miss, picking up 15 yards when the blocking says it should have been a 5 or 6 yard gain, or picking up a 30-yard gain when the blocking says it should be a 10-yard gain. Finishing those runs is the next step for Peyton Lewis because he's going to have every opportunity in the world, him and Deshaun Bishop.
Lance Hurd was the guy at left tackle last year, highly ranked as a recruit. A lot of talk about him coming in from LSU. Was not 100% last year physically, and I think there are reasons to believe he got better as the season went along, but now he needs to be a lot better. Fair to say Lance Hurd entering his second season at Tennessee as the only returning starter on the offensive line at left tackle.
Yeah, there's going to be concerns, not from a talent standpoint, but just an experience standpoint with David Sanders Jr. And the last thing you want to do if you are Lance Hurd is have anyone concerned about you. That was last year. That was at the beginning of the season with you playing in this offense for the first time, you coming off an injury, you being a little bit out of shape, you playing a position that you had to adjust to. And we saw the improvements with him throughout the season. You want to be the guy that the offensive line is not worried about. He's going to do his job. He's going to handle his business. If there's any concern, it needs to be with the true freshman tackle. But you have experience with other guys, not necessarily in this offense, but Wendell Moy and others there on the offensive line, Sam Pendleton, they've played major college football. There's just going to be a moment of them getting used to this system. And he needs to be important in helping those guys. I mean, he's the only returning player on the offensive line outside of William Satterwhite if he plays at center, but he doesn't have any experience in the game. So Lance Hurd is the guy. Mm-hmm. He needs to be the player that goes from being soft-spoken, goes from having his issues last year of inconsistency. He needs to be the model of consistency and being the guy that David Sanders Jr. leans on. The other players who transferred in, they have a question about something on the offensive line, he needs to be the one that's helping them and coaching them up outside of the on-the-field coach, an LB, or any other offensive line assistant. Like, he needs to be that guy entering his second season. This is a young group, this whole team. So it forces second-year guys to step up and be more vocal and take more ownership. I won't sit here and just call them leaders, but they just need to be more involved in helping their teammates with their assignments or with accountability. It just requires more of younger guys.
We know that Tennessee's going to have a new starter at quarterback. If Josh Heupel doesn't trust his tackle play, you think he's going to trust his quarterback fully in the offense?
Yeah,
if he doesn't believe that guy's going to, whether it's Aguilar or Merkling or whoever, if he doesn't believe they're going to get full protection?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't get protection, man, get ready for another season of 32 receiver screens in a game. I mean, my goodness, fans were wondering, is that the only play we have in the playbook? Well, when the protection's not where it needs to be, you're trying to figure out ways to get the ball to the perimeter, to your playmakers in space without risking a negative play. And so that's why you got those receiver screens. So you want to do those as drive starters. You want to do those as, you are countering what the defense is doing. Safeties and DBs are playing back, and you got a 5-yard, 6-yard cushion the moment the receiver touches the ball. Of course we're going to do screens. You want to do them because the defense tells you need to do it, not because you have to do it because you can't protect. There's a difference.
On defense, again, the anticipation is Boo Carter is back. Jermod McCoy will be back at some point, Swain, but it's a question right now of when he'll be available for game action this fall. Ricky Gibson is back, and he took a big jump from 2023 to last year, right? He had a really impressive sophomore season. What can he do in his third season at cornerback for Tennessee, Ricky Gibson?
Well, I mean, you feel good about him because he proved a lot to you in his first year being a starter. He was available. He was consistent. He allowed your front to do its job and not worry about getting burned on the outside. No one is faulting him for – no one's faulting anybody on their coverage of Jeremiah Smith. He's a freak. But for the most part, like, Rick Gibson was dang good. You couldn't just go away from Jermod McCoy and think you're going to get an easy first down to the other side, because that wasn't the case at all. He's been a model citizen. I haven't heard anything about him not doing what he's supposed to do. So with Jermod McCoy not being 100% healthy at this very moment and cleared, then I think it puts more pressure on Rick Gibson, not only to be the number one guy, but to be an example for the newcomers and the young players that are looking to get more playing time as well. So Ricky Gibson, very, very, very important.
Yeah, when we talk about the overall talent and the athleticism where that's improved, Ricky Gibson is one of the examples you give of how they've become a more athletic team in the last couple of years.
No, 100%, man. I mean, there's good players from Alabama that come to Tennessee, right? Those are my favorite.
Always rank highly for Jason Swain. Speaking of the secondary, why don't we just stay there as we talk about Ricky Gibson? This is an important spot right here. They have to replace Will Brooks. Jacoby Thomas was going to help with that. He decided to transfer a few months ago. Idris Farooq is a guy who I think he's a good athlete. I think he plays aggressively. Now he's going to play a bigger role. He has a chance to be a starter. I think he probably projects to be in that spot alongside Andre Turrentine. So a second-year player, Idris Farooq, at safety.
Man, it would be great. I think it would be in everyone's best interest if he came in, because everyone's looking at him as being the guy that's going to replace what's the old boy that went to Miami?
Jacoby Thomas.
I already deleted him from my mind. Either Vol or you're not. But
he is not.
He is not. So the best case scenario, I think, for everyone is that he fills in and he is your guy. But there was a reason why he wasn't your guy before Jacoby Thomas decided to transfer. And so the coverage, the assignments, like, that has to be on point, this fall camp, because you don't want to have to scramble, try to put guys in different positions and have to play someone that maybe not as comfortable playing safety as they would be playing corner or playing nickel, because, Farooq is not ready. I mean, you don't want to do that. So I look at him, and it's right there for the taking for him. You just got to play consistent and be really good in coverage and not allow any explosive plays in those scrimmages and 7-on-7 situations in fall camp.
And part of the theme there is what you mentioned, the opportunity. And when we talk about these guys coming back, and guys we're intrigued to see. So one more player we're intrigued to see coming back from last year's team, getting ready for the 2025 season, back to the offensive side, the tight end position, Ethan Davis. And we talk about the tight ends. We can also talk about pass catchers, the receiving options for whoever's playing quarterback. Ethan Davis is an intriguing player.
Yeah, my man Ethan Davis, man, came in from high school playing receiver. Wasn't really used to the trench life of the physicality, and that was something he had to learn from a mentality standpoint. Also, physically, he had to develop in the weight room. I mean, you can have all the want to in the world, but if you light in the pants, you're not going to be able to hold up against those defensive ends that maybe he has to go up against, or those linebackers that he has to go up against. So not only did he have to switch his mindset to be able to hold it down in the trenches, but physically develop too. And I think he has done that. Last year was supposed to be the breakout year for him. It didn't happen that way. But with him and Kitzelman kind of being the two guys, and then they are followed with a lot of youth, Kitzelman being not cleared right now, it puts a lot of pressure on him. Like, eyeballs are on him at the start of fall camp from that tight end position, and he's going to be a guy that if I'm Joey Aguilar, if I am any of the other quarterbacks, Merklinger or McIntyre, like I'm using him as much as possible. Security blanket, low risk throws for the most part, unless you're throwing it.
Davis is a big target. He's 6'5", 245.
Yeah, but I mean, those are short throws unless you're throwing it across the middle, and it's a crossing route, you're throwing it behind him. Like, those should be high percentage throws, especially if he's running spot routes and things like that, to where he's giving you his numbers. So Ethan Davis, man, this has to be the year for him. This has to be.
Yep.